क्योंकि ये राम स्तुति लीड फॉलो करनी है ना.
Also, it should be how long then? 5 minutes or 4 minutes? I'll stop.
4 and ये 5-6 मिनट लग जाएंगे. नहीं मुझे पता नहीं है अभी देखा ना क्या करना है. 5 मिनट तो लगेगी for sure.
I won't repeat too many times.
हाँ, because that one needs a lot of repetition. चलो. हरि ओम.
Hari Om. Prarthana Piyush, page number 102. चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर.
चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर.
जय जय राम सीता राम
जय जय राम सीता राम.
चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर.
चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर.
घड़ी घड़ी पल पल छिन छिन निज दिन.
घड़ी घड़ी पल पल छिन निस दिन.
राम जपा कर. राम जपा कर.
राम जपा कर. राम जपा कर.
जय जय राम सीता राम.
जय जय राम सीता राम.
चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर.
चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर.
प्रात समय की शुभ वेला में.
प्रात समय की शुभ वेला में.
संध्या समय की पुलकित रजनी.
संध्या समय की पुलकित रजनी.
रोम रोम से निकले तेरे.
रोम रोम से निकले तेरे.
जय जय राम सीता राम.
जय जय राम सीता राम.
रोम रोम से निकले तेरे.
रोम रोम से निकले तेरे.
जय जय राम सीता राम.
जय जय राम सीता राम.
चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर.
चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर.
गहरा सागर टूटी नैया.
गहरा सागर टूटी नैया.
जीवन तरणी राम खेवैया.
जीवन तरणी राम खेवैया.
पार करेंगे राम जपा कर.
पार करेंगे राम जपा कर.
जय जय राम सीता राम.
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 चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर.
चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर.
चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर.
पेज 25 श्री राम स्तुति. नमामि भक्तवत्सलं कृपालुशीलकोमलं.
नमामि भक्तवत्सलं कृपालुशीलकोमलं
भजामि ते पदाम्बुजामकामिनां स्वधामदं
भजामि ते पदाम्बुजमकामिनां स्वधामदं
निकामश्याम सुन्दरं भवाम्बुनाथमन्दरं
निकामश्याम सुन्दरं भवाम्बुनाथमन्दरं
प्रफुल्लकञ्जलोचनं मदादिदोषमोचनं
प्रफुल्लकञ्जमोचनं मदादिदोषमोचनं
प्रलम्बबाहुविक्रमं प्रभो प्रमेयवैभवं
प्रलम्बबाहुविक्रमं प्रभो प्रमेयवैभवं
निषङ्गचापसायकं ध्यरं त्रिलोकनायकं
निषङ्गचापसायकं धरं त्रिलोकनायकं
दिनेशवंशमण्डनं महेशचापखण्डनं
दिनेशवंशमण्डनं महेशचापखण्डनं
मुनीन्द्रसन्तरञ्जनं सुरारिवृन्दभञ्जनं
मुनीन्द्रसन्तरञ्जनं सुरारिवृन्दभञ्जनं
मनोजवैरिवन्दितम् अजादिदेवसेवितं
मनोजवैरिवन्दितम् अजादिदेवसेवितं
विशुद्धबोधविग्रहं समस्तदूषणापहं
विशुद्धबोधविग्रहं समस्तदूषणापहं
नमामि इन्दिरापतिं सुखाकरं सतां गतिं
नमामि इन्दिरापतिं सुखाकरं सतां गतिं
भजे सशक्तिसानुजं शचीपते प्रियानुजं
भजे सशक्तिसानुजं शचीपति प्रियानुजं
त्वदङ्घ्रिमूलये नराः भजन्ति हीनमत्सरा
त्वदङ्घ्रिमूलये नरा भजन्ति हीनमत्सरा
पतन्ति नो भवाणवे वितर्कवीचिसङ्कुले
पतन्ति नो भवार्णवे वितर्कवीचिसङ्कुले
विविक्तवासिनः सदा भजन्ति मुक्तये मुदा
विविक्तवासिनः सदा भजन्ति मुक्तये मुदा
निरस्य इन्द्रियादिकं प्रयान्ति ते गतिं स्वकं
निरस्य इन्द्रियादिकं प्रयान्ति ते गतिं स्वकं
त्वमेकमद्भुतं प्रभुं निरीहमीश्वरं विभुं
त्वमेकमद्भुतं प्रभुं निरीहमीश्वरं विभुं
जगद्गुरुं च शाश्वतं तुरीयमेव केवलम्
जगद्गुरुं च शाश्वतं तुरीयमेव केवलं
भजामि भाववल्लभं कुयोगिनां सुदुर्लभं
भजामि भाववल्लभं कुयोगिनां सुदुर्लभं
स्वभक्तकल्पपादपं समं सुसेव्यमन्वहम्
स्वभक्तकल्पपादपं समं सुसेव्यमन्वहम्
अनूपरूपभूपतिं नतोऽहमुर्विजापतिम्
अनूपरूपभूपतिं नतोऽहमुर्विजापतिं
प्रसीद मे नमामि ते पदाब्जभक्ति देहि मे
प्रसीद मे नमामि ते पदाब्जभक्ति देहि मे
पठन्ति ये स्तवम् इदं नरादरेण ते पदम्
पठन्ति ये स्तवमिदं नरादरेण ते पदं
व्रजन्ति नात्र संशयं त्वदीयभक्तिसंयुताः
व्रजन्ति नात्र संशयं त्वदीयभक्तिसंयुताः
व्रजन्ति नात्र संशयं त्वदीयभक्तिसंयुताः
व्रजन्ति नात्र संशयं त्वदीयभक्तिसंयुताः ॐ
न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैकेयमृतत्वमानशुः परेण नाकं निहितं गुहायां विभ्राजते यद्यतयो विशन्ति वेदान्तविज्ञानसुनिश्चितार्थात् सन्न्यासयोगात्यतयच्छुद्धसत्त्वाः ते ब्रह्मलोके तु परान्तकाले परामृता परिमुच्यन्ति सर्वे दहरं विपापं परमेश्मभूतं यत्पुण्डरीकं पुरमध्यस्थगस्थं तत्रापि दहरं गगनं विशोकस्तस्मिन् यदन्तस्तदुपासितव्यं यो वेदादौ स्वरप्रोक्तो वेदान्ते च प्रतिष्ठितः तस्य प्रकृतिलीनस्य यः परः स महेश्वरः न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चन्द्रतारकं नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति.
We stand as one family,
We stand as one family,
bound to each other with love and respect.
bound to each other with love and respect.
We serve as an army,
We serve as an army,
courageous and disciplined,
courageous and disciplined,
ever ready to fight
ever ready to fight
against all low tendencies and false values
against all low tendencies and false values
within and without us.
within and without us.
We live honestly,
We live honestly,
the noble life of sacrifice and service,
the noble life of sacrifice and service,
producing more than what we consume
producing more than what we consume
and giving more than what we take.
and giving more than what we take.
We seek the Lord's grace
We seek the Lord's grace
to keep us on the path of virtue, courage, and wisdom.
to keep us on the path of virtue, courage, and wisdom.
May thy grace and blessings
May thy grace and blessings
flow through us,
flow through us
to the world around
to
us.
the world around us.
We believe that the service of our country
We believe that the service of our country
is the service of the Lord of Lords,
is the service of the Lord of Lords,
and devotion to the people
and the devotion to the people
is the devotion to the Supreme Self.
is the devotion to the Supreme Self.
We know our responsibilities.
We know our responsibilities
Give us the ability and courage to fulfill them.
and give us the ability and courage to fulfill them.
Om Tat Sat.
That's it.
ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः. 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 ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः.
Hari Om. It's great to see everybody springing forward and being here in time. For those of us who came last Sunday also, I see the general feeling and the consensus that it's really wonderful to be here in person and to listen to the pravachans in person. Sure, you can listen to the pravachans from home on YouTube, but the sense of belonging that you get after coming here is really beyond words. And that is especially for the new members, because old members, they have that sense of belonging. We know, we have been here for several years, but for new members especially. And now some of you have Balvihar children and attending from home, very understandable, and we will be back full swing next year. But if you can, come here. Maybe one parent attends the children at home and the other parent can come here. Just come, take that step, and all. It's very comfortable at home, get up and open the computer and start attending. But just take that and start the car instead and get here, and you will see how we all feel here.
Ram Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. चिन्मयं व्यापि यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव त्वमेव सर्वं गुरुदेव देव।
वायुरोदनात् लीयते मनः
वायुरोधनात् लीयते मनः
जालपक्षिवत् रोदसादनम्
जालपक्षिवत् रोधसाधनम्
चित्तवायवश्चित्क्रियायुता
चित्तवायवश्चित्क्रियायुताः
शाखयोर्द्वयी शक्तिमूलका
शाखयोर्द्वयी शक्तिमूलका
चित्तवायवश्चित्क्रियायुता
चित्तवायवश्चित्क्रियायुताः
शाखयोर्द्वयी शक्तिमूलका
शाखयोर्द्वयी शक्तिमूलका।
So we have seen last time, Vayurodhanat liyate manaha. When we restrain the very Vayu, meaning breathing in and breathing out, the mind gets absorbed. How? Jala pakshivat rodha sadhanam. Just as the birds who are under the net, after a while they become very quiet, but as soon as the net is released, the birds again fly away. Similarly, our mind, no matter what is weighing on it, if we focus the mind on just breath, pranayam, or which is called swasa vikshana, basically just observing the breath, mind gets absorbed in breath. In other words, from outside it gets focused on the breath, and whatever is weighing on the mind temporarily becomes quiet. But how long? As soon as I stop it, it goes away. And how is it done? See, in pranayama, it is as vayu rodhanat, meaning when we breathe in, it is called kumbhaka. Then before we exhale, there is a moment, very little, most of the time our breathing is so shallow, but there is a moment, right? You breathe in, moment, and then you exhale. It is called a rechak. Kumbhaka, rechaka, and what is it called when you hold it? Any yoga person here? Purak. And it is Purak. Is it called Purak? Oh. Right. And rechak is exhaling, right? Also kumbhak is holding. So antar kumbhak and bahir kumbhak. Yoga is not my cup of tea, But you hold it, etc. But here, basically, we are not doing pranayam from the standpoint of that, basically without altering. However, just notice, observe, focus on breathing in and breathing out. And he says, mind will become quiet, laya. But it will not remain quiet completely. And that he is explaining why in the next sloka. Chitta vaya vash chit kriyayata. He says, chitta and vayu. Chitta vayu vaha chit kriyayutaha. Sakhayordvayi shakti mulaka. See, the word chitta is twice, but there are two different words. One is chitta, other is chit. Sat Chitananda is CHIT. Chitta is mind, conditioned consciousness is called chitta. So it says chitta vayavas. Chitta and vayu both have chit and kriya. Chit means consciousness and kriya yutaha. They are endowed with consciousness as well as kriya. Right? Without consciousness, you cannot even breathe in, neither can mind think. Now, mind has two functions, Ichha Shakti, ability to desire, and Jnana Shakti. Right? Without Jnana, I cannot desire. If I do not know anything, or if I do not know that there is such a thing as a smartphone, I will not have a desire for it. But once you see a smartphone, then you say, hey, I want to have a smartphone. So Jnana Shakti and Ichha Shakti belongs to the mind. Pranayam, breathing, etc., belongs to the kriya. So he says, Chitta, the mind, Vayu, Chitta Vayavaha, both are endowed with Chit, Chaitanya, and Kriya, consciousness and energy, Kriya Yutaha. And where do they both come from? Sakhayor Dvayi, Shakti Mulaka. These are two, Dvayi meaning two shakha, two branches. He says, Shakti Mulaka. Both are nothing but Shakti, the energy, the ability, the Shakti of Maya. This is Maya Shakti itself branching out in two. Now, think of it. Earlier he says, Vayu Rodhanat Liyate Mana. Mind quiet. Remember, this is in connection. The previous sloka was what? The concluding sloka of the first two sections. That Rutstale Mana Swasthata Kriya Bhakti Yoga Bo. So the goal is quieten the mind, Rutstale Mana, and abide it in the heart. Where is mind? Quietening the mind and abiding not in the world of OET, but in the world. So the first thing is how to quieten. So he says, Vayu Rodhanat. Now he says, there are two ways to quieten the mind. One is by mind itself, and one with the help of Vayu. Then how is it that with help of Vayu, the mind becomes quiet? So Bhagavan Raman Maharshi explains here, Sakha Yoho Dvayi Shakti Mulaka. They both have roots, thus Maya Shakti, in the Maya Shakti alone. Because Chaitanya with Maya, and Maya then Prakriti, and this entire manifested universe is there. So he says they both have the roots in Shakti alone. Now, many of us as children, we remember, when even if you were born in city, etc., when you go to village or distant place and you see a mango tree. I remember when I was in Mumbai, one of my Masi was in Borivali. And they had, huge place there, people, and there were mango trees there. And not belonging to them, but as children, what do we want, right? Just the very fact that there are mangoes there, you want to grab the mango, throw the stone, etc. Now, many times we'll find that you cannot reach the mango, but there are two branches. One branch, the mango is a little higher, but the lower branch you can reach. Now, when I hold the lower branch and pull it, what happens to the upper branch? It also comes down. Then you look around that no adult is watching. Then you pluck it and you run away. I mean, that is what 9 and 10 and 12-year-old children do. In the same way, the lower branch is pranayam. Try to control your mind. The more I try to control, the more it will run away. It will protest. But pran, every one of you try. Just 3 or 4 breaths. Just observe breath going in and going out. Close your eyes, otherwise you will look whether the neighbor is doing it or not. Even in the 3 or 4 breath, what do you find? Mind has not become completely quiet. But are you drinking coffee? Please don't. Just leave it there, but don't drink it, okay? Yeah. In the class, now you know why I say, if unknowingly, you are not doing it purposely, but do you think all those watching on YouTube are not drinking coffee or not looking at their messages. There is no honestly way. You can gather information from Upadesh Sara, but you cannot really thoroughly understand and change yourself. I'm telling very honestly. I know most of our pramadis, they don't want to come even if they can come, because they have gotten used to watching it on YouTube. So even temporarily, breathing just this, mind doesn't become absolutely quiet, but it becomes relatively quiet. So there has to be a way to completely quieten. But both have these roots. So when I quieten my breathing and observe, the mind gets affected. Every one of us have observed, right? When you are raging mad at somebody, or very passionate about something, or calm is very intense, what happens to your breath? Becomes warm and faster, isn't it? And when the mind is quiet, breath is. And when you are meditating, right? And if you are used to meditating regularly, what do you find? The breath becomes very low and slow, isn't it? So they both are connected. Why are they connected? Because Atma with its Maya then manifests as Prakriti. And this Prakriti, when the creation occurs, it is only Tamas and Rajas, and it is called Pradhana. And it is in this Maya that the Shakti, both this Chit Shakti and Vayu Shakti, have their roots in it. And this is why, right? We saw earlier in Bhakti Yoga 5 different ways to invoke Bhagwan. Some invoke Bhagwan as Ganpati. Some invoke Bhagwan as Surya Narayan. Some invoke as Shiva. Some as Vishnu. And the 5th one is Shakti, Ma, right? Amba Parameshwari Akhilandeshwari. Amba Parameshwari
Akhilandeshwari
Adi Parashakti Palaya Mam.
Adi Parashakti Palaya Mam.
Adi Parashakti Palaya Mam.
Adi Parashakti Palaya Mam.
Amba Parameshwari Akhilandeshwari. Amba
Parameshwari Akhilandeshwari
Raj Rajeshwari Palaya Mam.
Raj Rajeshwari Palaya Mam.
Raj Rajeshwari Palaya Mam.
Raj Rajeshwari Palaya Mam.
Amba Parameshwari Akhilandeshwari.
Amba Parameshwari Akhilandeshwari.
Amba Parameshwari Akhilandeshwari.
Amba Parameshwari Akhilandeshwari.
Chamundeshwari Palaya Mam.
Chamundeshwari Palaya Mam.
Chamundeshwari Palaya Mam.
Chamundeshwari Palaya Mam.
So, the Shakti is the Mulaka, the very root of it, and controlling the breath, mind can. But I don't want to just be happy with controlling the mind temporarily. What I want is to be permanently be a master of my mind, whereby mind doesn't disturb me, and my mind is rutstale mana swastha, abiding in this. So now Bhagwan gives 2 beautiful slokas. Pay attention, very, very nice. Laya vinashane ubayarodhane.
Laya Vinashani Ubhayarodhane.
Laya Layagatam punar bhavati no mrutam.
लयगतं पुनर्भवति नो मृतम्
Laya vinashane ubhayarodhane.
लयविनाशने उभयरोधने
Layagatam punar bhavati no mrutam.
लयगतं पुनर्भवति नो मृतम्
Together. Laya vinashane ubhayarodhane. Layagatam punar.
भवति नो मृतम्
So he says laya and vinasha. Laya, mind getting absorbed. Vinasha, mind getting destroyed. Laya, vinasha, ubhaya, both. Rodhane, by restraining the swasa. But what happens? Layagatam punaha bhavati. The mind that goes into laya, absorbed, punaha bhavati. As soon as absorption is over, it again comes back like those birds. As soon as the net is released, they start flying away. Meaning my stress is again come back. Layagatam punaha bhavati. But bhavati nahamrutam. But the mind that has been destroyed, the mind that has died, does not come back. Now the minute you hear the mind dying, you say, let this be good for Raman Maharshi and Gaurangbhai, because I want to live in the world. I want to know who my wife is, my husband is, my children are. I want to go to work. And if my mind is dead, why should... Even I should not come to the class because I won't understand anything. So if you and I can very easily understand, then of course Raman Maharshi also understands, right? Wouldn't you agree? So there is more to it than what meets the eye. See, a man who goes to sleep will wake up, right? A doctor, an engineer, a gunda, and a lawyer. Very heavy rain and they were traveling. This is 100 to 150 years ago. There were no hotels, etc. So when they could not travel, they looked in the village for a dharmasala. And they found a dharmasala, but the manager or person says, look, everything is full because it has been raining so heavy, it's almost flooding. So I have ek room bacha hua hai. All four of you have to stay in this room. Now normally they would say, no, I want my own room. But there is nothing available. Now tell me, the lawyer, the doctor, the engineer, and the gunda, when all four of them go to bed and they are in deep sleep, meaning mind is completely quiet. Now when they wake up, would the lawyer wake up with the knowledge of the doctor? Would the doctor be a gunda? They each will come back with what was on their mind when they went to bed. Only thing that happened is what? Laya. So laya meaning mind temporarily becoming quiet, and when it comes back, it is the same. But he says, layagatam punha bhavati, bhavati no mrutam. But the mind that dies does not come back. So what do we mean by mind that dies? Right? See, mind has two things, objective mind and subjective mind. The objective mind does not die, it remains. Objective mind meaning, I am seeing all of you, you are seeing me. That aspect of mind does not die. That I have to do this, I have to do this. It all continues. But the subjective mind is the one that gets destroyed. Normally, what do we want? I think I will be happy by acquiring this. See, seeing things is not a problem. Some of you, not most of you, but some of you who have, or those who are listening on YouTube, those who have daughters who are between the age of 10 and 15. Right? Now, many parents have a double mind. For security, I want to give my child a cell phone. But I don't want the child to have a cell phone and just go with it and have all kinds of text messages and, surf this or that. Now the girl, by the time she's 8, what does she demand? Mom, whenever you think I'm ready, give me an iPhone. From the age of 8, she says, what? All my friends have phone, how come I can't have it? And mom says, what? Not yet, right? Thus the struggle goes on for maybe 6 months, 2 years, 3 years. Now tell me, when every day this struggle is going on, is the daughter and mom, are they both happy or both are stressed? And I'm sure many mothers of teenage girls are or have experienced this, right? Now what happens? The girl thinks, if I have that smartphone, especially the latest iPhone, I know Jatin uncle doesn't like when I promote iPhone. I'm not promoting. But like children generally, I want iPhone. And they want the latest iPhone. And what? Happiness is where? In the latest iPhone. Because when I take it off in school and show it to somebody, whether I use it or not, the very fact that I have the latest iPhone 13 or 14, whatever it is now, I have that phone, And mother is worried, right? If I get you an iPhone, I want to know what text messages you are getting and there will be a control. All these things is going on, right? Each one thing. So seeing an iPhone is not a problem. That part of mind remains intact. But the ignorance that I will be happy when I have an iPhone. Right? And all of us have, and this is dealt in much more detail later on in verse 21. That if I have this, I will be very happy. If I don't have the iPhone, I will be unhappy. That part of the mind gets destroyed. Meaning that ignorance, that happiness resides in the object, that is what really gets destroyed. So once we understand the fear that I want, what if mind will get destroyed, what will happen? So Bhagavan says, Laya Vinashane Ubhaya Rodhane. So what happens in one second, okay? Vritti Matra, those of you who understand, Vritti Matra Upasamhar. Vritti Matra meaning only the thoughts in laya, when the mind goes to sleep, or with pranayam, when I quieten the mind and there are no more thoughts thoughting in that laya, vritti upasamhar, only the vrittis become quiet. And as soon as laya is over, vrittis come back. But when the mind dies, what he says and how it is to be done, it is being explained in the next sloka. When the mind dies, what happens? My understanding about myself comes, and not only the vrittis die, along with it, this other vritti, the notion that I am a perceiver, feeler, thinker, that also dies. See, at any given time, we have seen this before also, there are two vrittis. One is a permanent vritti, that I am a perceiver, feeler, thinker, meaning what? I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. Right? So, mind and intellect, telephone vritti, this vritti, that vritti, but was it I want it? I don't want my daughter to have it. That I vritti, aham vritti, along with the iPhone vritti, both vritti upasamhar happens when there is total destruction. In other words, one comes to know that I am not the perceiver, feeler, thinker. Now, how is this possible? Let us take an example. There are two sentences I would like to read, and then I want to explain to you. One is called Anatmani Atma Buddhi, and the other is called Jagati Satya Buddhi. Anatmani meaning that which is not Atma. Atma Buddhi meaning that which is not I take itself to be me. We all have heard or seen also talwar, sword. And where is the sword kept? It is kept in a sheath called myan, right? Talwar ka myan. It is called the sheath. Now, if the talwar, the sword starts thinking, I am the sheath, then all the problems of the sheaths will be problems of who? the sword, isn't it? But sword should know that sheath only covers me. I have nothing to do with the sheath. If the sheath gets broken, if it is torn, etc., my master will get another sheath. I have nothing to do with the sheath. But if the talwar, the sword, takes itself to be the sheath, it is called anatmani. That which it is not, it takes itself to be that. Suppose, right, this weekend they are saying what weather bomb or winter bomb or something, in other words, this cold weather that is going from Texas to Northeast. So those who are in Northeast, where it is snowing and very, very cold, but an individual has to go to this meeting. So what does he do? Right? He wears his undershirt. On top of it, he has a shirt. Then he wears a tie because it's a very important business meeting. On top of it, there is a jacket. And on top of it, he has got a thick woolen coat. Right? And he goes out, does his business, very successful in the meeting, and he comes home. Now, when he comes home, right, people saw him with all these 5 things. What does he do? First, he removes his coat. Does he have any problem? He knows I am not the jacket, the coat. Then the jacket of the suit, he removes. I am not that. Then he removes the tie. Hey, tie also I am not. Then he removes the shirt. That also he is not. Then he is removing even undershirt because outside it is cold. But here it is 72 and let me just wear my regular clothes. All these 5 layers, he has no doubt that he is not. Right? If he took himself to be any one of these layers or all the 5, what will we call him? Anatmani Atma Buddhi, right? That which he is not, none of this he is, and he takes itself to be that. We will pity such a person, right? Now, in Vedanta, the Sharir is called Annamaya Kosha. Right? Kosha, the sheath, just as the talwar, the sword is in a myan, it has nothing to do with the sheath. This is called Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya meaning that which is in and through Maya, Annamaya Kosha. It is nothing but Anna. Anna meaning food. Meaning what? The seed from the mother and the sperm from the father, both product of food. Coming together, baby is conceived. For 9 months, the baby grows because of food eaten by mother. Then the baby comes out and grows, and whatever he or she is today, 100 pound, 200 pound, every ounce of it is what? Annamaya Kosha. Right? Now, if somebody says, I am food, right? Food comes from Mother Earth. It is a kosha. It covers you just like the jacket or the coat. That cannot be you. Annamaya Kosha, Kosha the sheath. The other is Pranamaya Kosha, right? Every one of us are breathing, right? We Indians, many of us, we will say, hey, you just drank from this glass. I will not drink that water, give me fresh. But when it comes to breathing, right, we all breathe from the same pot. We breathe in and we breathe. I mean, that is how it is. But breath, the air that is outside is not me. When it comes in, it becomes pranamaya kosha, vital energy that energizes me. And then I exhale. But I never say I am that because it is a pranamaya kosha. It covers me. Similarly, my mind thinks, right? Manomaya kosha. That girl, I want the cell phone only and I want nothing but the iPhone and the latest iPhone. All these thoughts, right? What does it say? Hey, my mom is not giving me this. I'm very upset with her, etc. I am angry, meaning what? I identify with the thought of anger and say, I am angry. Why your mind is angry? How come you are angry? Just as prana, the kosha, you don't say, I am the vital air. Air comes in, air goes out. This is nothing but food. Similarly, when my mom says, no, I will not give you phone, my mind doesn't like it, mind is angry. But I am not angry. But I take myself to be what? The body, right? I take myself to be the prana. आज energy नहीं है. I take myself to be the mind. Manomaya kosha. Then Vijnanamaya kosha. You know, finally I convince my mind. You know, my buddhi reasoned with her. I removed everything and I focused totally on the security aspect. And she got so scared about my well-being. Finally, she said, daughter, you deserve it. You are right. Because I told her what happened to the other girl. And she had a phone and she called her mother, etc. And you know, this Indian, my mother, Desi woman, very pata sakte hai. You know. So I got it. Now what happens? Vijnanamaya kosha. I take myself to be that. And when I finally got that phone from Apple, what happens? I am so happy. Anandamaya kosha, mind and intellect quiet. Now remember, 5 overcoat or the top coat, jacket, tie, shirt, none of it is me. They are all sheets on the body. When I say I am this, those 5 are not me. Similarly, Annamaya kosha, that which is a product of food. Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, the very word kosha is the sheet. Vijnanamaya kosha, Anandamaya kosha. I am none of that. But what do you and I take it? I am the body. When the mind is upset, I am upset. When I have decided, I have decided. So when I take myself to be any of these 5 koshas, or really all the 5, it is called anatmani, that which is not me, atma buddhi. To take myself to be the sheath and not the sword is called anatmani buddhi. To take myself to be the coat, shirt, tie, etc. is called anatma. Hey, I am not it, I am the body. Similarly, taking myself to be the sharir, man, buddhi, any of these 5 is called anatmani, atma buddhi. I am not that and I take that. Now, let us move one step forward. Is this clear? Then he says, Jagati Satya Buddhi. You and I, remember, Mano Nasha, please understand. To understand that I am not the mind, this ignorance, and who am I? I am the one who is, right, with respect to the 5 layers of clothing. I am the body, these 5 layers I am not. I am the one who illumine, who resides within Rutstale Mana, all these 5 koshas. I am the very, just like the Javeri Bazaar mein wo, when they put diamond in 5 different thin layers of paper, and inside is the diamond, which is the most important thing. Javeri Bazaar, those of you who are from India, you know what I mean, right? When they come to, they bring all these diamonds in this blue paper, white paper, all these 5 different layers. Similarly, now Jagati Satya Buddhi. To take the Jagat to be Satya. 2 errors of judgment. Now, what do we mean by Jagat to be Satya? That which is continuously changing is not Sat. It is called Asat or Mithya because it is continuously changing. It is not real. With respect to my physical body, right? The 5 layers, what did we determine? They are not me. I am the one who is aware of these 5 layers. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Jnana, and Anandamaya. Meaning I am not that. Now the entire Jagat, whenever I say Jagat, I mean what? Everyone other than me is Jagat, right? When I say Ye Jagat, I never say Ye Jagat, right? Ye Jagat, meaning what? I am separate. Oh, I am separate from the Jagat, right? And he says, Jagati Satya Buddhi. I take Jagat to be Satya. Now please pay attention, right? Now all of you looking at me, when you say this Jagat, you exclude yourself and you include everybody, including Gaurang uncle as Jagat, isn't it? Now when you take me to be Jagat, that means what? You take me to be real, right? I want to transact with Gaurang uncle. Now when you take me to be real, tell me, you take this body to be real, right? You transact with who? This Sharir. Now 5 minutes or 2 minutes ago, what did we decide? Sarir is a sheath, right? This Sarir is nothing but Annamaya Kosha, the Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. None of that is me. Now, I understand in Vyavahar, in transaction, the koshas alone transact with each other. But when you understand this, what do you say? The real Gaurang is not Sarir, not Man, not Buddhi, but it is the one that resides, that life principle in him is the real. Everything else is what? Anatma, isn't it? And the same holds for you. Right? So, Anatmani Atma Buddhi, when I take that which is not me to be me, and I take Jagat to be Sat, Jagati Satya Buddhi, right? Both of them, when that ignorance is removed, that the Jagat I see is not real. Just as when you see me, you are only seeing the product of food, right? When you see my thoughts, etc., when I express, you are only seeing Sukshma Sarira, the Vrittis. None of it is me. They are all koshas. And that is part of Jagat for you. Think of it. And to take that to be real is an error of judgment in your buddhi. So he says, when this error is removed, and we see, and it is intellectually to be removed. You don't have to come and kill me to find out what is inside. Okay? It is to be understood that and the same holds true for you. When this is understood, he says, Laya vinashane ubhaya rodhane. Laya gatam punaha bhavati. The laya, when you do not know through pranayam, the mind comes back, again all the thoughts and stresses and strain are a problem. But when one understands, what does he understand? That all these things, the cell phone, the one who wants, etc., is not, but what? He is someone who functions in and through this. Now, let us go back to our good old example of telescope, stars, and the one who looks at the stars through the telescope. So the telescope is what? An instrument. The one who functions through the telescope, you and I, who looks at the stars, stars I am not. Telescope I am not. I am independent of the stars as well as the telescope. I am someone other than the stars, the object, and the telescope. In the same way, the stars are object, emotions, and thoughts that I continuously come in contact with. Jagat. Jagati, Satya Buddhi is an error of judgment, right? Jagat is not real. Instrument, body, mind, and intellect, the telescope. We take myself, each one of us out, I am body, I am mind, and intellect. But what is it? Chaitanya, functioning through this instrument called BMI, coming in contact with the world of OET, gives rise to this aham buddhi that I am a perceiver, feeler, thinker. But when I come to know that this is only a sheath, outer sheath, annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanmaya, anandamaya kosha, if this is not me, then I cannot be perceiver, feeler, thinker either. That means what? When that girl gets a cell phone, the mind and intellect becomes quiet. But her true nature is what? Ananda alone. The more and more my ignorance goes and more I understand that my nature is this, I become independent of the world. And the Jagat doesn't bother me. That doesn't mean I don't want iPhone. But whether I get it or not, my mind remains quiet. So when he says, Bhavati no mrutam, it doesn't mean that the mind will die. But the reacting mind, the mind that is a problem for each one of us. Everyone says, what? I tell you, my mind is a problem. But generally, whenever people go to Swamiji, they say, Swamiji, falsely, aapki krupa se sab kuch acha hai. Inside he knows that he has worked hard and all this is he's doing. But Swamiji, aapki krupa se everything is going very well. But pata nahi, why my mind just keeps me. Meaning what? Everybody's mind, if you do not know, have this ignorance, this garbad chal hi rehti hai, because we take the Jagat to be true. Right? Once you take the Jagat to be true, and not only that, even when everything is going well in your life, What do you say? Swamiji, everything is good and I am really worried. Everything can never go very good. Something must be wrong somewhere and I do not know. See, this is human nature. We are so used to worrying that absence of worry also worries us. That everything just cannot go good. So now when he says, Bhavati no mrutam, how do I achieve that? That is very important, isn't it? Here he just states, Laya Gatam. We know that Laya temporarily helps. It's a step, but I want to destroy this ignorance. If the ignorance is destroyed, that the 5 layers I am not, then who am I and how do I come to know my true nature is the next step. And that's where the next sloka is very, very beautiful.
प्राणबन्धनात् लीनमानसम् एकचिन्तनात् नाशमेत्यदः प्राणबन्धनात् लीनमानसम् एकचिन्तनात् नाशमेत्यदः
Ekachintanat nasametyada. Together.
प्राणबन्धनात् लीनमानसम् एकचिन्तनात् नाशमेत्यदः.
So now he says prana bandhanat. He's just replacing the word vayu rodhanat to prana bandhanat. Essentially, it's the same thing. Prana bandhanat leena manasam. Meaning the mind goes to lie, mind gets absorbed, and whenever the mind is absorbed, I am quiet, I feel good, just like in deep sleep. But when I come out of that, the effect of pranayama or prana bandhana, again the mind is a problem. But then he says what? Eka chintanat. Thinking of that one and one alone. Eka chintanat. Nasam etya adaha. This mind is destroyed for good. Now, naturally, we are not worried. The mind that is destroyed is not the objective mind. The reacting mind, the subjective mind, that is a problem for one and all. That aspect of mind is destroyed by eka chintanat, by thinking of one alone. Now, when I think of one, right, anything that you think of, I think of one means something other than me. What does that say? There is a duality, isn't it? Suppose someone says, look, I love my grandson. So it's so much easier for me to think of my grandson. So I will think of him. Nothing wrong. But when you think of your grandson, number one, it's duality. And it increases raga and dvesa. Any object, any being in the world. The minute I think of a person who has quality, there will be raga and there will be dvesha. Please understand, it is only when a foolish young man is in love with a foolish young woman, that courting period alone is the time when you think there is only raga and there is no difference. If she and I can be together happily ever after, it is only until the day you commit yourself and you find out happiness is elusive. This is true of anything. The car that you want, I love it. Once you get it. In other words, anything that has quality, meaning any coin has obverse and reverse, it's not only one side. So sukha and dukkha, raga and dvesh will be there. If raga and dvesh are there, that means what? Mind with agitation. And what do I want? Laya of the mind by distraction. Please understand. Permanent distraction whereby my mind is quiet. Rutstale mana, mind abiding in Atma. Not that I run away from the world, but independent of the world. So when he says eka chintanat, it cannot be of a thing in the world, because anything in the world has raga and dvesha. So when I say eka chintanat, one without a second, or one in spite of, two or plural, one in spite of plurality. Now, how is this possible? Right? Now, in the Jagat, things are many. So, obviously, we have negated because then there will be likes and dislikes. Right? Now, let us look at the example and then we'll go little deeper. We have done this before, but one step further. Right? Who am I? Right? That is the thing. Na eka chintana. I want to think of that one alone. And who is that one? Right? So when I act through my mind and through indriyas, I only come to know of plurality. Right? So when I look at this cell phone, the smartphone, right? I, the seer of the smartphone that all of you are seeing, you are the seer of the phone. This we have seen many times before. So you are seer, you are the knower, you are the awarer of the phone. Awarer, knower, minus the object known, which is the smartphone. Knower minus known, the smartphone, is what? Pure knowledge. Awarer, you, minus what you are aware of. Awarer minus the object of awareness, pure awareness. Right? So you are awareness, everybody is awareness, or everybody is pure knowledge. Now, are you aware of your body? Obviously you are. Right? I am aware of your body, you are aware of your body. The knower of the body minus the known, the body. What is it? Pure knowledge. Awarer of the body minus the body. What is it? Awareness. Right? Are you aware of your breath? I, the awarer of the breath, minus the breath. What am I? Awareness. The thoughts that I am giving you and you are agreeing or disagreeing in your mind, are you aware of those thoughts? I hope you are agreeing. Are you aware of the thoughts or not? Right? You are aware of your mind, the thoughts, just as you are aware of the stresses in the mind, happiness also. You are the awarer minus the mind or the thoughts. What are you? Awareness. The decision that Upadesh Sara is so good, I really want to now read it. The decision made right now, are you aware of it or not? In your mind, I'm reading some minds that this is such a good book, I want to go home and read it. Nishchitam, right? Intellect has decided, are you aware of it or not? I, the awarer of the nischaya, decision of my intellect, minus the intellect and decision. What is it? Pure awareness. Awareness has no quality. So when I look at the world as well as my body, mind, intellect, and I conclude what? I am awareness. Jamuna sitting here concludes what? I am awareness. He, she, each one of us are what? Awareness has no quality. It is not this long, this tall. And awareness, knowledge has no plural. Please understand, even language cooperates. Why? It is only one. I am awareness, meaning what? I am Atma. She is Atma. She is Atma. Deepak is Atma. Jatin is Atma. Each one of us are what? Awareness alone. And when I take myself to be the body, I, the Atma, taking this was called Anatmani Atma Buddhi. And when I take you to be real, Jagati Satya Buddhi. Both are what? Error. So when he says, Eka Chintanat Nashametyada, so when thus I contemplate, not just know this logically, Upadesh Sara is very good, but when you sit down at home, remember, Yama, your life, things that I and you should not do, we do not do. Speaking truth, all those, that should not be done, should not be done. Yama. Niyama. Life must be moderate and regulated. Yama. Niyama. Asana. The asana that applies here is Sthiram Sukham Asanam. Asana where I am Sukhi. You sit down. Then pranayam, observing the breath, quietening the mind. But that is not the goal. Then pratyahar, stopping the agitations from coming in. Then dharana, right? Remember, we are going towards eka chintanat. Then focusing my mind on one. Then dhyana. Dhyana meaning, now I am really getting into eka pratyaya. What is it? But there are still, every now and then, my mind wanders. All the way unto from dhyana into samadhi, where there are no more other thoughts. But even after samadhi, very important point, please understand. If you do not understand this logic that I am awareness, mind will become absolutely still. You will come out of it and you will say, it was so good, and it was good. But your thoughts will again come back. And again what? The minute you see that daughter coming out of her bedroom, the cell phone comes in the mind. Again stresses. But when you know that I am Atma, that silence was me, and everything else is not real, Anatma, that knowledge, Tat, that silence thou art, is very, very important. Now look at this entire thing from a little different perspective. Okay? We first looked at it. If anything else that I look at, there are duality. And the other thing has quality, guna dharma. So I will have raga and dvesha. Now, if I want to focus on that one, that does not become two. Meaning the two is apparent. In other words, when I go to a three-dimensional theater, and when I see the screen, and when the tiger or lion or the man jumps up and, does this, he literally hits my nose, I can get scared the very first time. But then I realize that nothing happened. Why? The screen is real, but the man jumping out in three-dimensional is not real. Or every day when we watch television, check our iPad, iPhone, etc., the screen remaining the same. Everything else comes and goes, right? It comes on the screen and it goes away, right? Just like my thoughts. Remember, you are not permanently stressed, neither are you permanently happy. Very important to understand. Now, please see. So what this is saying, Atma and these 5 layers. Now, Sharir generally is not a problem. Prana, Vayu is not a problem. Our problem is what? My wife doesn't understand. My husband, meaning mind agitating. The mind is a problem for everybody, that my mind is giving me a problem. Now, if the mind is real, nothing can be done. And mind is what? Flow of thoughts, right? Why does she want that cell phone? Just remember that, and then any other example you can put. Now, is that, if it is real, then I will be stressed. And if it is not real, then my ignorance has to be removed. Right? So what the scripture says, Eka Chintanat, Atma and thought are not really two things. Where the Atma is, the thought appears, but it is really not real. Now, please pay attention. This is why you are lucky that you are here. If there is a snake here, okay, and there is a rope here, how many things are there? 2 things. You cannot mistake, this is a, I said snake, this is a snake, this is a rope. Right? But if there is a rope, but I see a snake on the rope, now how many things are there? Only one, because if you see snake, you don't see the rope. And if you see the rope, you don't see the snake. So there is only one, right? And when the knowledge of the rope comes, you realize what? The snake was only apparent. I got afraid, I got scared, etc. But the snake is not real. There is only one appeared as something other than that. Right? So the snake really was not there. Right? Now, we have seen already, right? I am awareness, you are, every one of us are I. But when my daughter really wants a cell phone and driving me nuts, I said, look, I've had it, my blood pressure is going up. She just doesn't understand. Now what? I have identified and taken that thought to be real. Jagati Satyabuddhi. Now please understand. And I say, I am so stressed. Now if I am stressed, then when that thought goes away, either by giving your, or she agrees, okay, mommy, I will wait for 1 year and I'll give me the phone next year. So now the stress is gone. So if I am stressful, then when the stress thought is gone, I should go, isn't it? Right? Isn't it? If I am happy, I am lusty, then if the lust goes away, then I'm gone, because I'm, meaning what? The thought comes and goes. The snake comes and goes. The rope is. The thought is apparent. I, the Adhisthana, Chaitanya, awareness, Atma is the real thing. From Atma itself, the Vritti as if rises, like from the ocean itself, the wave rises. Every one of us have seen waves. Now tell me honestly, whenever you see waves, don't you miss the water? You just see the wave. You say, look at that big wave coming, etc. But what is it? Hey, look at that water coming in the shape of wave. No, you miss the water, you only see the wave. Atma is in and through every wave, every thought, just like water is in and through every wave. But just as a lady who is fascinated by the shape of the necklace misses the gold and only looks at the necklace, you and I, under the spell of Maya, only identify and look at the thoughts as real and forget that I am this. I plus the apparent thought, the screen plus the apparent tiger, the jala appearing as wave is nothing but water with name and form. The pot and clay. The clay is, the pot is. The pot is broken, pot is not. Right? The clay still is. The pot comes and goes, clay remains as is. What is the relationship between clay and pot? Clay is, pot is apparent. Remember, clay does not become pot. Clay remains as clay plus the form and a name. Water plus form and a name is wave. Clay plus form and a name given is pot. Clay is nothing but pot alone. Appearing as pot, pot is apparent, temporary, clay is real. Atma, awareness, Chaitanya, I, plus the thoughts. Atma, awareness itself appears as the thought. It is never permanent. Everyone has experienced. How many different kind of emotions you and I have gone through. They come and go. The ignorance is, I take it to be real at that time, Jagati Satya Buddhi. So when Bhagavan Raman Maharshi says, Prana Bandhanat Lina Manasam Eka Chintanat Nasametyada Eka Chintanat Nasham. So again and again think, every time, so instead of running away that why Bhagavan gives me trouble, whenever he gives trouble, naturally trouble, let the mind quiet down and think, hey, so many trouble, especially those of us who are 60 plus, I mean, countless number of troubles have come through our life. Here is one more trouble that has come. I was aware of that trouble 40 years ago, 50, 55 years ago, when you passed SSC, whether I will get admission in the college or not, whether this college, that college, etc. That trouble came and gone. Right? Then so many, whether I will get, what is it, F2 visa or F1 visa? F1 visa I will get or not. So many challenges have come, whether I'll get a job, I'm unemployed, all these things have gone. And now also this trouble has come. These two shall go. I plus this trouble thought, clay plus the pot, water plus the wave. The wave is apparent, the thought is apparent. I am the Adhisthana. No matter how huge the wave is, it may topple the largest Exxon oil ship, which are, like a 5-6 football long. Even that can be toppled by a mighty wave. But can ocean or water be afraid of the wave? Can I, the awareness from which all these thoughts of stress and strain and fear and joy they rise, can any one of them topple my balance? Yes, it will if I take it to be real. If I take myself to be awareness, then it will not. I have covered a lot of material, you will agree. Okay? See, this is called Shruti, meaning what the scripture says. Yukti, all these examples of wave, the pot and this and that, cell phone and aware or aware, this is called Yukti. Anubhav is palati lagake, when you yourself quieten the mind and get into Savikalpa Samadhi, and then it is up to Bhagwan and understand that awareness I am. And then Nishtha takes time, because again when something happens in the world, out of habit, what will happen? The perceiver, feeler, thinker will say, hey, why me? But again, hey, look, I alone am. You are like a pratibimb, like the sun in the sky, reflected in different pots. I, the awareness, reflected in this pot is perceiver, feeler, Gaurang, Nanavaty. Here is Jamuna, Murli. There it is Forum. Thus everybody thinking them, but these are all reflected beings. The real thing is me alone. So think, lot of material to digest. What is the time? Jamuna, sing. Let us sing from first to this so you get used to it. And as she is chanting, let us chant it together, but think of the meaning and see how Bhagwan has progressed from our simple desire that I want this, I'm not becoming happy, all the way to Eka Bandhana. Okay?
कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलं कर्म किं परं कर्म तज्जडं कृतिमहो दधौ पतनकारणं फलं शाश्वतं गतिनिरोधकम् ईश्वरार्पितं निच्छया कृतं चित्तशोधकं मुक्तिसाधकं कायवाङ्मनः कार्यमुत्तमं पूजनं जपश्चिन्तनं क्रमात् जगत ईशति युक्तसेवनम् अष्टमूर्तिभृदेवपूजनम् उत्तमस्तवात् उच्चमन्दतः चित्तजं जप ध्यानमुत्तमम् आज्यधारया श्रोतसा समं सरलचिन्तनं विरलतत्परम् भेदभावनात् सोऽहमित्यसौ भावनाभिदा पावनी मता भावशून्यसत् भावसुस्थितिः भावनाबलात् भक्तिरुत्तमा हृत्स्थले मनः
स्वस्थता क्रिया भक्ति योग बोधाश्च निश्चितम् वायुरोधनात् लीयते मनः जालपक्षिव रोधसाधनम्
चित्तवायवै
चित्क्रियायुताः शाखयोर्द्वयी
शक्तिमूलका लयविनाशने उभयरोधने लयगतं पुनर्भवति नो मृतम् प्राणबन्धनात् लीनमानसम् एकचिन्तनात् नाशमेत्यतः कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलम् कर्म किं करं
I know you don't have your swarpeti, but
I have my phone.
but without it, just sing. We only have 3 minutes or 4 minutes.
Okay, sure.
Okay, that Krishna Savala.
I'm not kidding.
Close your eyes, think of Bhagavan Krishna, and meditate on what we have just learned.
Coming in my mind.
You're trying to remember the first line?
Yes.
Rucha, do you remember the first line?
कृष्ण सावळा भक्तांसाठी अवतरला अवतरला शुभमंगल दिन श्रावण मासी आला आला डोळे भरुनी रूप पाहिले डोळे भरुनी डोळे भरुनी रूप पाहिले देवकीलाही धन्य वाटले कर्तव्याचे शब्द उमटले कर्तव्याचे शब्द उमटले गोकुळात जा घेऊन माझ्या बाळाला गोकुळात जा घेऊन माझ्या बाळाला शुभमंगल दिन श्रावण मासी आला आला आनंद झाला नंदा घरी हा जमली तेथे गोकुळ नगरी गोविंद घ्या कुणी गोपाळ घ्या नाचती ब्रिजबाला घेऊन कृष्णाला शुभमंगल दिन श्रावण मासी आला ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु
मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।